Hello, my name is Kelly Laudermilk, and this is Module 10 for Cultural Diversity through Fort Hays State University. This is my presentation on bullying prevention. Relationships to standards. We were talking about the Praxis 3, C 2 through 5. Basically, to me, that is just making sure that all students feel included and safe, and all of their basic needs are being met in the classroom at all times. That means their physical needs, their emotional needs, and maybe if they're students with disabilities, that all of their needs are being met on a daily basis in all classrooms in the school. So here's my response to the 4 articles that I read. 3 essential priorities of school principals. The 3 bullet points that I took from that were emphasizing a caring and inclusive environment within the school. This relates back to some of the videos that we saw of the check-in, check-out. Basically, students have to know that someone cares about them and feel safe and included. Embrace faculty leadership roles. Basically making sure that the faculty is on board with where you want the school to be. And if they're not, then you're making those adaptations and having professional learning development days where they can get on board. Community connections, that's just keeping all of the parents and families and even the local businesses aware of what you're doing to make your school a safe, inclusive school. And that might even mean bringing some of the community members in to help with different things throughout the year. To the right, how feeling respected transforms a student's relationship to school. Basically, mutual respect means the students are going to work hard. And what I took from that is teachers always we make the assumption that if you're respecting me, you're being compliant and you're cooperating. A student's view is they just want to be recognized. They want you to call them by name. They want you to address them quietly when they're having a behavior issue so they're not embarrassed around their friends. And they want to be heard. And I think that's part of building a positive relationship. They have to know that you care about them. Empathy in positive relationships means the suspensions go down, which means then engagement and learning is going to go up because they're staying in the classroom. On the bottom left, creating a warm and friendly environment. Teaching methods should support all students. If your teachers aren't using best practice, then you need to help them by being a mentor and setting them up with somebody they can go and observe and working to get better at that. Teachers need room for improvement. We're not perfect. So if there's something that we're doing that's not right and not conducive to creating a warm environment, then we need to work on that. A safe environment means it's emotionally and physically safe. There's not too much overwhelming them with sensory needs. The colors are calm. It's not bright reds and oranges. And the lighting is appropriate for all of their needs. It's not too overwhelming with too many posters and crazy stuff on the wall. It has to be the right amount for what your students need. And some students now have very big sensory needs, so we need to be aware of that. On the bottom right, strategies for building a productive and positive learning environment. Set up your classroom at the beginning of the year, and it starts with a question to your students. How would you like to be treated? And then that segues into having a classroom discussion of basically setting up your code of conduct. What are we going to say and not say? What things do we like to hear and what things do we like to do? And what things are we not going to do? And the student conversations that you'll have will help you set up your rules by having that question at the beginning. Positive action approach is a growth mindset. When your values are headed in a positive direction, your attitude's positive, and everything in the culture of your classroom is positivity, the students are going to want to grow. Set attainable goals that make them want to grow. So it reinforces it, and you have to respond with it. You have to reinforce when they do the right things. You have to reinforce when you see them being positive and show your appreciation for that. Because if they see you modeling it and they see you appreciating when they do it, they're going to continue to do it and it's going to spread. Um, Kind of like the gratitude movement. I think if you share gratitude, they'll catch on to that, and it will be a trickle effect. Here are the 4 videos and websites that I looked at for bullying prevention instead of intervention. One of them was a challengeday.org, and you can bring in 2 speakers that come and do a presentation with about 100 of your high school students, and it's something that you could pay for. It's When I looked at the videos and watched what I saw with Tom Bradshaw, I thought that it was a great way for especially high school and middle school students to be about the change, to gain compassion for each other, and to recognize that we've made some mistakes verbally. We've made some mistakes with our assumptions of students with diverse cultures and backgrounds. And the challenge day sparked the children to work on the problem, not the symptoms. The symptoms might be that they're suicidal or frustrated and um, feel left out and are depressed. But that change.day.org, it's something that you could implement and show in your classroom even, and talk about some of the strategies that they do. Um, because when you watch the video, there's kids that are stepping forward and owning up, and everybody ends up stepping forward, that they were admitting that they've been bullied or have spoken inappropriately to someone before. They've been the bully or bullied. And then they look around and realize that they're all standing across the line, and they're not afraid to be vocal about it. Secondstep.org, I really think that this is a very helpful program for K through 5. When I looked at the different tools and the kits that they have there, the strategies that they're teaching children are not just bullying strategies, but getting along strategies and how to deal with conflict. If you're not dealing with that, you're not building trust. The videos that are with those toolkits, they're engaging so that you're not having to come up with all the materials on your own all the time. I think some teachers are so frustrated and they feel like they have so much on their plate that if they could have some tools to show and how to effectively teach it as a whole building, then we're all using common vocabulary. So when a student gets to me from first or second grade, they have this foundation of how we speak about different bullying words. And they have the same toolkit, the same words to combat against it, and how to do conflict resolution. It's an integrated approach to teach students communication skills and getting along skills. It walks them through different scenarios, and there's a card that goes with it that helps the teacher foster that discussion with their class. The top right is the bully-free classroom. Um, First of all, I think with students of all ages, you have to expose the myths. Sometimes they have this skewed this skewed vision of what bullying is, and you have to build conflict resolution skills. If they don't have the skills to problem solve, then it turns into a repeated behavior, and that's when the bullying becomes prevalent. So you have to teach them those skills. If it happens in the cafeteria, you teach them how to have conversations at the table. You teach them how to have appropriate table conversations and how to have a conflict but not end up throwing food and getting physical at the end. The third bullet point there is define what bullying is so students know when it is okay to be assertive and get help. Sometimes, it truly is tattling because it's only happened once, but they don't realize, yes, it did hurt you, but in that situation, you can use a conflict resolution word and like an iMessage to say, I'm feeling really frustrated and mad when you call me those names. I would like you to stop and stand up for yourself before it gets to a bullying behavior. 5 ways to prevent bullying in your classroom. Instead of spinning the wheel and coming up with all these solutions after bullying has occurred, these are 5 ways to combat it beforehand. Talk about bullying and be visible in the high bullying areas. Be visible in the hallway. If that's where bullying's happening, then during transition periods, a teacher should always be in close proximity to those children. And in my school, children are not left unattended. I know that's different in high school, but all you have to do is stand by your door as a high school teacher and be present there. Um, Recognize the types, especially with younger kids. They kind of got to know what's physical, what's social, what's cyber, and define what it is and explain the different strategies based on those types. And for older kids, build a rapport with students and watch for the cliques. Watch for those social groups to happen. And then when you have those same types of kids in your classroom, you can know how to make groups a little more effectively because you can make them branch out and get with students that they might not normally choose to be in a group with. The bullying data showed that the most common was verbal. The second most common was physical. Social was third, social relational, and cyber was the fourth. I think that on the right, I talked about, I think you need to do a survey in your own school, no matter what age. And that can be for kindergarten and first graders who can't write and fill out a survey. You can do a one-on-one discussion with them and figure out where they think they're being bullied. And sometimes at that age, they don't even really know. So some of that data might be skewed because they've never really defined bullying and they don't really know what it is. And personally, if you're creating a positive culture in your building and it's kindergarten and first graders, you might not even have to define it for them because you don't get to that point. It's not going to be perfect. Let's be real. They've got to know that they're going to face conflict. But if you presented to them conflict resolution strategies, it might not get to the bullying point. It happens in classrooms. Well, the way you combat that is to have a program in place that is teaching you strategies to help students, and to me in return, those teachers that have it occurring in their classroom, it can be made aware. I guess they're going to be made aware once they have to teach lessons that have to explicitly do with conflict resolution. And if that's not happening, then that's something that needs to happen. And as a school leader, I hope to be part of those decisions and address the problem areas and the types that are in my building. For younger kids, fourth, fifth, sixth graders are where we see most of our conflicts arise. And for my building, when we did our survey, it was recess. So that's not something that you typically see at middle school and high school. So it's not obviously going to show up on some of the data we saw. But recess for little younger kids is almost always where it is. And the way we've chosen at our school to deal with that is to have constructive areas of games to play and teach them explicitly at the beginning of the year. So spend the first 2 weeks with your class and with other mixed grade levels, teaching them how to play different recess games together. We use different pieces of data to do that. We just look online and get some, and we have a notebook that we've built and we've chosen to make it conducive for our building, excuse me. And then that's what we spend the first 2 weeks doing. It could be third and fourth. It could be first and fourth. We just spend those times teaching those games explicitly so that when they go to recess, it's not just standing around in a group with a click. It's actually going and finding something to do. Results from taking action. If you build a positive, safe environment for all students and you have a proactive plan, not a reactive plan, then that's when you're going to see success in your building. Talk about what it is and teach strategies to solve conflicts. Model positivity that builds welcoming a school climate. Learn about the policies and make sure that appropriate follow through is in place. You know, it's not going to be perfect. You can build all these conflict resolution strategies for them, but there could still be points where it gets beyond just handling it in school. there might need to be a different consequence to have. Communicate with parents and community members on strategies they can use to prevent bullying. It can occur at home, it can occur with siblings. And the overall goal is less bullying means higher engagement and a higher level of academic successes. So, and this is my reference page. Thank you.